Good evening. This is the Lower Makefield Township Ad Hoc Property Committee meeting on November 7th. We have a quorum and we also have a guest that we'll introduce in a moment. So I think the first agenda item is the minutes. I can find it. So any comments or questions on the minutes from the October 13th meeting? If not, motion, someone want a motion and second to approve those minutes?
A motion to approve.
Thanks, John. And second, I'll second it, I guess, or Jim. All in favor approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Fred, I have to abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay. Just to mention, since I didn't already, Dennis Stedman, our chair, is not able to be here tonight, and one of the other members, one or two others, are unable to be here. So, but we do have 4 members, and that constitutes a quorum. So we'll continue with the business. Next item is the creation of a Patterson Farm master plan. The project management proposal was approved by the Board of Supervisors on November 2nd, and a contract form was developed. We'll introduce Jennifer Stark from Avison Young, who maybe can give us a status of where that stands at the moment. I know you had a discussion with the township solicitor, and I think the information was exchanged that you need to finalize that agreement. So Jennifer, if you can fill us in on where that stands.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to introduce Candace Lee. She's an assistant project manager, and she will be working on your very important project.
Yay,
yeah.
welcome, Candace.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. We do have the contract in motion to be executed. So I'm expecting to get that back from the township any day now. David Truelove is shepherding that through. Our first order of business, once we get that signed proposal, is to do a kickoff meeting. If you'd like, I could share my screen. I've got the schedule that I included in our proposal, and we can focus on month 1, which for us, now that we're starting in November, is November 2022.
Great.
Okay.
Are you able to share the screen?
I think so. I just need to find the right view. There we go. Everybody can see that?
Not yet. There we go.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Okay. A little delay there. So we're going to focus on what you're seeing here is month 1. As you know, we do have, let me move this bar. You can see it's a 9-month projected project period. Let me zoom in now on month 1. Okay, so we want to have a kickoff meeting with the committee and any stakeholders that you identify, and use the word stakeholders. Those are people who will be active in the process. I look at this project as having many stakeholders. Basically, it's anybody who's interested in historic preservation and cultural history of a community. So in my world, that could be anybody on the continent and beyond. Just to put that out there so everybody knows that we are thinking about this in a very large sense of who thinks it's an important project. We do. We have a draft of the RFP for the professional services that we will be sharing with the committee. get your feedback on it. Our first task is to submit that to our qualified shortlist. I also have a qualified shortlist to share with the committee, and we will be adding to that or subtracting to it based on committee comments. We will be seeking competitive bids for the township, a minimum of 3 participants, so that you can have a field of qualified people to look at and review their fee proposals as well. The bid period is going to be about 3 weeks. I anticipate having a site visit at the property pre-proposal, so that all of the professionals can walk around, see the structures, tour the buildings inside and out. So we will be coordinating that with the committee and also the proper representative from the township to get us access to the properties. Any questions that come in will be fielded through Avis and Young. We will direct them to the proper people within the township and then disseminate the answers to the entire pool of bidders so that it's all given equal footing as far as information transfer. When the bids come in, we will share them with the committee. We will do a leveling sheet, we call it, which is basically we take each proposal, we pull out the commonalities so that you can have a snapshot of what each of these professionals are saying about their project approach, their fee, any issues with experience level, consultants they have on their team, things that give you a good way to evaluate team to team. So that's what's happening in month 1. Month 2 is actually when we get the proposals in, but they are very interconnected. So I actually described month 1 and month 2. Does anybody have any questions about what we plan to do and how we're going to kick off?
So when you're still finalizing the contract, is that correct?
Yeah, actually the contract is final. We're just it's actually in the signature period right now.
Mhm. And how soon would you see using or setting up a stakeholders meeting?
I think we could try to shoot for something next week. As you know, we're heading into the time frame when people start having more commitments because of the holidays coming up. So if I can get the wheels in motion, and at least you could get your proposals in hand and even potentially have a selected entity before the beginning of the new year, then we can really start in earnest in January. But we'll see how it goes. We're ready to try to make this happen relatively quickly and efficiently so that the township is in good shape for 2023.
Good question. I have a question. So at this point, the stakeholders are the public, the committee, the board of supervisors, and the township. Is that the kind of people we're starting with?
Yes, but I would like to have a focused group so that we have a good working group with representation, but it can't be so large that it's this big lumbering entity. I think you understand what I'm saying here. I want to make sure, and I'm looking to you, the committee, to help identify, can we get a good working group that will be consistent through the process and provide feedback and also represent who you feel should be at the table for this immediate working group. We'll be reporting to larger groups as we move through. We talked about having public information sessions. We talked about milestone presentations to the supervisors. So it's going to happen. But right now I'm talking about this intimate working, real hands-on group.
Do you have specific either organizations or individuals in mind that you could share with us, or you're depending mostly on us to come up with that?
I would like to rely on you first. I feel that you have been thinking about this for a good amount of time at this point. and you understand who would be appropriate.
And just for my clarification, we're talking about consultants being the planning consultants. We're not talking about A&E consultants yet.
No, the consultants are the planning consultants.
Any other questions, John, Jim?
Not at this moment. No, thank you.
And okay, so I think especially with Dennis and some of our other members not here tonight, we'll certainly get in touch and see when he's available, but we'll need to get everybody's availability in the next week or two. I'm not sure between ourselves and finding and identifying and notifying other individuals as a group, whether 1 week is going to be adequate. And then we're getting into Thanksgiving week after that.
Yeah. Let's see what you can, let's see what kind of progress you could make. And
If we start waiting until after Thanksgiving, then we're getting into, Hanukkah and Christmas and all that. So then now we're into January, we've pushed this back 2 months. So if we wait too long now, I think we should be a little bit more aggressive in trying to get this group going.
Okay.
Well, because next week, wouldn't we have to have a public notification of us meeting in order to have it happen next week?
Probably. I'm not sure what the time frame is on that.
Yeah. And so is there an alternate process? Can we direct our recommendations to Dennis, for example, and then let Dennis work with Jennifer, or is this a more public process?
To pick a small working group? I
Pick a
think
small working group.
I think a small working group, we could just, in my opinion, it would be something that we could decide who to have, and then you make the suggestions to Dennis.
Okay.
I see Joe joined us. Joe, we're just
Yeah,
talking
right.
about the first initial start. And as Jennifer has indicated, the first step would be a meeting with the stakeholders that we identify as a focused working group to kind of guide this process through, along with Jennifer and her staff. So I guess at this point, does anyone have specific individuals or ideas in mind for someone who we can contact in the next week or so?
I think if we give a little bit of time, I think I could come up with a few names.
Okay, Joe, were you saying?
I just had the question, contact for what?
Well, the idea is that we would identify some key stakeholders who have an interest in the historic preservation and the cultural aspects of Patterson Farm that would give us their input as we work along with Jennifer in developing the master plan for the entire property.
Okay, you mean in addition to the committee, in addition
Yeah.
to this committee?
In it, right,
Okay.
correct. All right, so I guess at this point, we'll all put some thoughts into action in the next day or two and get that to Dennis, as Beth has suggested. And by email, we'll try to coordinate who else to get invited to this meeting.
Yeah, and we'll send it to Dennis. And
Right.
you can send it to everybody, but directed specifically to Dennis, and then he can take it from there.
Yeah,
Does that
but
sound reasonable?
right. I'd ask
Okay.
everybody to try to give some input now by tomorrow to Dennis, so that we can proceed with that.
And is the idea to engage them now during the development of the RFP or later after we start the development of the master plan?
Right up front now. Right. And the draft RFP, Jennifer, you said you would distribute that, I guess through Dennis or to the committee so that we have a chance to take a look at that. I think at one of the last meetings, both John and Jim, I think you have some background in that respect that we'd like to get your inputs on the RFP itself.
I think when Jennifer feels comfortable sharing it with the committee, I would like to take a look at it, yes.
So Dennis will be my point person, and Fred, I've been CCing you on things like, for example, last week when we were talking with David Truelove. So I will CC Fred and Dennis, send them the draft RFP, looking for comment. And Fred and Dennis will also be kept up to date on the travels of our executed agreement as it goes from township to Avis and Young and back.
Okay. And there's no issues with your time and getting things moving before the final signatures are on that piece of paper. Is that?
Nope, there's no problem.
Okay. All right, and between Dennis and I will check with the township tomorrow and see what availability is. Presume we'll do it by Zoom if that's amenable to everybody. Yeah, and if they have availability in the next week or so. If not, we any objections if we have to make it a in-person meeting at the township?
Next week would be difficult for me, but after that, be fine.
The sooner you let me know the date, the easier it'll be for me to make it there.
Okay, I guess I'd ask two things then, if everybody could give us by email what their availability or not availability is over the next 2 weeks, and along with any ideas on additional people to invite as part of the focus group. Okay, any other questions for Jennifer or Candace? And any other, I know Dennis had a discussion of the process and potential division of responsibilities, areas of focus. Any thoughts on that in that area? I think we've talked about just taking a look at the RFP, giving any input that we may have to Jennifer. Beyond that, the next steps, do you foresee, Jennifer, once we have this meeting and you're going to give us the draft RFP, then I presume from what you were saying that possibly in December or else early January, you'd be ready to go to the next step in terms of getting the RFP out?
Well, yes, and possibly if we have consensus that the RFP is 100% go, I would issue it and with the hope of getting it back before Christmas, and then we would be able to do the selection in January.
Okay, so you're expecting that the responses would be received before Christmas?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was also the site visit you mentioned, so that's going to have to come up. And do you need our input or involvement with that, or is that directly between you and Jim Majewski and the township staff?
I would invite anyone who wants to attend. That's an opportunity to meet the firms. And also, it'll be interesting to hear comments as people tour for the first time or visit again if they're familiar with the property. So I will do the coordination and access with the township directly and copy who needs to be copied from the committee, and then who's ever available may certainly come.
Okay, so you'll take the lead on setting that timing
Yes.
and getting the arrangements made,
Right.
and also obviously inviting the consultants.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions, comments on that?
Jennifer, when you send over the draft RFP, will you be sending over the list of potential bidders?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Was there anything else, Jennifer, at this point that you were looking for any input from us?
No, thank you. I'm good. I know what to do.
Okay. Appreciate you and Candace taking the time tonight to be with us. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Candace is too quiet.
I guess
I should try to talk more, people like that. I'll probably prepare a joke or something next time.
No. I'm just saying hello.
actually the next item is on the agenda is public comment. So possibly we should, if you can wait a few more minutes just to see Jennifer and Candace, if there are any public comments that you might be able to give us your insights on. So is there any public comment coming in?
No public comment online.
Okay. Very good. Well, appreciate again, and we'll exchange by email and phone as necessary to get things moving in the next week.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
And Candace,
Thank you.
take care.
Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Bye.
Bill Firestone.
Sorry about that.
Are we adjourning? You're muted, Fred.
There's no public comments, so any other business anyone wants to raise at this point?
No.
Can I just ask a question? I apologize for missing the beginning of the meeting. I just had the wrong date on my calendar. In my experience, when we're doing community projects like this, usually the discussion around the project is done in a public forum. What was the rationale for selecting individuals as opposed to holding a public forum at different points during the process?
Well, I think Jennifer mentioned that there is, she had indicated there would be at some point public forum.
Okay.
Farther as we get farther into the program. I think once the RFP is issued and bids come in and a consultant is selected, I think maybe that may be
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
more
sure
likely.
in the master plan development, I am sure that there will be public meetings
Okay.
and forums in order to gauge where the public and the community want to go with this.
That's good.
I
That's
think
good to
that
hear.
Joe,
At that time.
what she wanted to know was just to make sure that if there was a small group of people who could review the RFP or make sure that all of the aspects that we're looking for are captured within the document before it hits
Okay.
the street.
All right, very good.
Right.
So, and I think the key is that in the next week, then we need to identify some additional, expand the committee, so to speak, and get some other local individuals who would be helpful in this process as a working group, so to speak.
Mhm. And is there certain types of experience that we believe that are missing that we need to be filling in? It might just help in terms of thinking about people.
Any thoughts on that? I think,
I think Jim and John have great levels of experience in RFP development, and I'm
Yeah.
very
Well,
happy about it.
I wanted to make sure there's somebody from the historical committee on there, just to make sure that we capture their points of view, to make sure that we're not missing something.
right. I mean,
Joe,
Joe,
it's Joe. Go ahead.
do you,
But I'm on the historical commission, but I can bring other people from the historical commission. I can make recommendations.
I
okay,
think that's the type of person, I also, top of my head, the farmer. We're going to be near his space. We don't
Yeah.
want to be,
Great point.
we're saving the farmland, so we want to make sure we include him as well,
Good
if
point.
he's available and he wants to.
Mhm. Good. Mhm.
yeah, good point. And I think Dennis certainly brings the agricultural aspect, the farming aspect from his experience and from his involvement with the land preservation group. But yeah, I know, Bet, as your involvement with AOY, that's another key element, whether someone else might, maybe another aspect of AOY's involvement there on the property, that can give us their input.
I might have somebody take a
Um,
look at it.
Would we think about someone from the township to make sure that the process we're going through meets up with the requirements of their regulations?
I think Jim would be pretty much a requirement for
Okay,
him to have comment on this. Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we do have the two supervisor liaisons. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. One of them's not here tonight, but they would certainly give us that, and Jim Majewski, maybe eventually when they select a new township manager as well.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other comments, ideas, thoughts, business?
Nope. I can review some of our to-dos.
Yes,
Good.
please.
Okay. So we want to email Dennis, I guess by Wednesday, any other names. We talked about a couple. And then Fred and Dennis are going to have to check with the township regarding another Zoom meeting next week. And we'll see how that is, whether we have sufficient notification time.
Mm,
And the committee is to email our availability, to, ASAP to Fred and Dennis. Jennifer is going to get the RFP draft for the committee's comments as soon. Well, what is that's not till December, right?
Well, if she
Well,
can get
she
it
wants-
sooner, because we want to
Yeah.
start. If we can get it sooner, we can give her comments sooner. And she
All
can
right,
talk
just
to
so I
them
have the
this week.
timing down. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my notes were incomplete.
I suspect that, sorry,
Yeah.
I think she probably within the next few days or a week,
Okay,
that she would likely send.
I
it
don't
out.
know if she'll send it out before a signed contract.
right. And that's with Dave Truelove. So,
Yeah.
so
I
this
mean,
could all happen one right after another. I get
Yeah.
the impression that'd be great. And then Jennifer anticipates that site visit with the bidders in probably early to mid-December.
she'll probably want to, after she sends out the RFP, they can walk it while during the 2 to 3
Yeah.
weeks it takes.
I love that. A 2 to 3 week review period. Review by bidders. And that we're all open to attend.
Yeah, so that would likely happen this month, possibly.
That would be cool. All right.
So well, I guess as she said, we'll get notice of when the site visit or visits occur. If you're available, you're certainly welcome to join in that.
Right.
So I guess it really
Okay.
depends on day and time.
So our future meeting schedule, we have our regular meeting when is it? In December?
December 8th,
December 8th.
Thursday, December 8th.
Thank you. December 8th, and then we may have another interim meeting next week. We'll see.
Right.
Okay,
Any other items?
make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Second, John, thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you,
Here, bye.
see you in a week, I guess.